I wanted to congratulate you on your big honor of honorary Greek citizenship.
You know who the first recipient of the Cecil B. DeMille Award was?
What?
Cecil B. DeMille. Yeah, how about that?
But wait, I was saying that you're an honorary Greek citizen.
Oh, that! Yeah. Oh, my Lord. That came up out of absolutely nowhere. Because I got a text from one of my kids that says, Dad, they're saying you're a citizen of Greece. I said, no, I'm not. Wait a minute. And then it turned out to be this very nice thing that the Greek government did. And I thought, honestly, by marrying a Greek woman, I thought they'd already covered all those bases. I thought I had all that carte blanche, as a Hellenic just myself. So as long as they don't have to serve in the Greek army. Although I think I do a fine
job. Pay Greek taxes?
I think I pay some anyway.
Okay.
One way or the other. That was a lovely thing.
How are you feeling on the occasion of receiving this Lifetime Achievement Award?
Well, number one, I hope I'm not done. I hope it's not at the end of thing. I look at the other recipients. The times I've been at the Golden Globes. I've seen the likes of Sophia Loren receive the award. Saw Michael Douglas get it one year. I've seen Marty Scorsese get it, I believe. Denzel Washington get it. And it's a type of nod that is actually it's an acknowledgement of one of perhaps the only true yardstick that there is for your career, and that's longevity. Mm-hmm. And they just said, hey, you've been around long enough, and work begets work. And if you had started off and weren't very good, you wouldn't be here now. So I'm going to just bow my head in humble submission to the providence of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, those band of knuckleheads that have put together a show that now kicks off the Hollywood's Holy Month.
It is the award season. You got your fake tan, everything ready to go.
My tan is not fake. How dare you?
This is not your first Lifetime Achievement Award, actually. I mean,
yeah, I had the AFI.
Yes,
they gave me one.
You have Presidential Medal of Freedom.
There's that too.
Kennedy Center honors.
There's that too.
So when you're in those moments and they're playing the highlight reel of your life, do you let yourself feel good and enjoy it?
Yes, I don't remember any of those moments. I don't remember doing them per se, but as having seen other people do it, it is an acknowledgement of the power of cinema. These, as I have watched other artists, and I see other people's movies, and I say I can remember where I was when I saw that film, what theater, what drive-in. If I saw them on TV, I can remember that as I'm moving around the country. I saw Alien at a theater in Dayton, Ohio. I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey at the Cinerama Domes in Oakland. I saw 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea at the Golden Gate in San Francisco. I can remember all those things, and it is a wonderful acknowledgement of that power, that bond between a film and an individual audience member. And even though they're my movies, which I'm a little self-conscious looking at them, because at the end of the day, all I do is I had my hair. That was my hair, why was I in that costume? There's an undeniable power that you just have to say, hey, I did work that was good enough that ended up touching people on a very personal level. Because I think we all remember what we were going through, what our circumstances was. It's sort of like what we needed at a time when we saw films that actually made us feel better about who we are. Have you been kind of reflective lately? I'm not a reflective guy per se. So no, but I'm not gonna discount what it means. I'll be sitting there. I was sitting there with my family, and my kids and my wife, they remember what they were doing when I was making those movies. So there really are hallmarks. They're chapters for all of our lives. We can all share moments of. I had my older kids with me when we were doing Forrest Gump, and there was one day that we rode on a helicopter and then a plane and then landed at 4:00 in the morning in New Hampshire. And they slept while I had a beard put on me and a wig to get some running shots of, as Forrest when he was running across the country. They remember those moments as 48 hours with me and having this kind of like grand adventure. And I can, there is my son, our youngest son was born during the vacation break, the Christmas break between the wonders of that thing you do performing at the Mercyhurst College Talent Show. And then 2 weeks later, they were performing out at Villa Piano's, the spaghetti place out by airport. In between that time, we had a baby. So it's divided up in that way that ends up being really, it's more personal than it is very much. It's not about the work. It's about the life we shared.
Well, let's do a little lightning round.
Okay.
As we look back at your life, Tom Hanks.
My hand is on the buzzer.
Okay. What scene did you love so much you wish you could do it over and over again?
I will tell you, and it's bittersweet, working on a movie called Charlie Wilson's War. We had a scene that took 3 days to shoot, and it was with me and Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late legendary Philip Seymour Hoffman. If I could have 3 days, every day was like the work that we did on that scene, I'd be the happiest actor in the world. It was hard, it was fun, but we never even thought about it. We just did it. That 3 days of working on that scene with Phil, that was as great as it ever got.
You're stranded on a deserted island. I wrote all these.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, what is it? We're on the Savannah Channel, and it's like movies with Savannah Guthrie.
You're stranded on a deserted
island. Yes,
I
am. Yeah.
Obviously, Wilson is there. Mm-hmm. Which character that you've played would you want with you? This is a long way.
Oh, man.
This is a long way of asking
yeah,
who's your favorite character you've ever played.
All right.
I thought it was clever.
Well, the guy was there, Chuck Noland. He was there. So I'm okay. So I have to choose from one of these guys?
Who do you love? What character do you just love? Like you would want to spend forever with?
Oh, my.
You're the one getting a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, I know, but okay, all right. How about would you want somebody incredibly pragmatic or somebody incredibly
Who do you love?
I
mean, I could choose.
Go ahead. I'd rather you do it.
No, you do it.
Me? Sully. He can fix anything. How about that?
Yeah. Okay.
He'd be very pragmatic. He probably knows everything. That deep voice would drive you nuts after a while. But how about him?
Okay, I'll take him. What's the role that everyone thinks you played, but you really didn't?
There's a couple of them. I get credit for playing a bunch of Michael Keaton roles all the time.
Like what?
For a while, there was one. It was what was a long time ago. Johnny Dangerously, I think, was one of those. Or Mr. Mom. Oh, I had for Mr. Mom. In the early days, everybody said, "Hey, great job in Mr. Mom." I say, "Thank you so much." That was Michael Keaton.
I thought you might say When Harry Met Sally.
Billy, no, I don't tread in Billy's
only because
territory.
It's Meg Ryan and.
Oh, they could have gotten confused over the grand the quartet of films, but there was only 3 of them. So.
What's a famous line that you've said that you were shocked became a thing, or that you thought was a stinker and ended up being a legendary line?
I thought just yelling Wilson and Castaway. I just thought that was dialogue, but now people yell it at me all the time.
Walking down the street?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I give them a thumbs up. What are you going to do? That's what they remember. There was, there's some that make sense. Like Houston, we have a problem. That entered into the lexicon. And there was one. An actor came up to me and said, "I just got one. I got two words to say to you." I said, "What is it?" I said, "Little boat." And I had to think, Little Boat. Well, that's from Splash. That is so long ago. It's like a big guy. We're going somewhere in this little tiny boat, and then the motor conks out, and he hits it with a hammer, and said, this is broken. Listen, I'll swim back to the dock, and I'll get the little boat. And we're in this teeny tiny thing. He jumps in and swims away, and I said, Little Boat, and somehow that landed in the national consciousness. I'll take it. Anytime that happens, you get a nickel.
Did you know life's like a box of
We
chocolates.
figured there's a number of them in there that were kind of like written with quotation marks around them. So.
What role are you proudest of as an actor, where you thought, it was better than I thought I could be?
That's such a subjective question.
I know.
That's unfair, and I'll answer it under protest, Savannah.
Well, you could have one pass in the lightning round, I guess. But do you not want? Is it because you don't want to say something nice about yourself?
Well, it's because they all are. Everything is this all-encompassing deal. You know, what I can say is there are movies that ended up being much more profound than I thought they were going to be. But that's only because the filmmakers made the films. And I look at them when they're all done, and I said, "Man, that's more than the sum of its parts." You know, because movies are made shot by shot. You get up there and you figure it out, and you do it. And sometimes you make them. Sometimes the movies are incredibly straightforward. Like I would say, like Bridge of Spies, in which I knew what I was doing, and it was a double-hander in a lot of ways, and Steven Spielberg is off doing his stuff, and it comes together, and it ends up being like a very kind of like straight delineated line that is actually better than you thought it was going to be, and that's where you bow down to the process. Thank goodness we just hand over these raw materials. Then I made a movie called Cloud Atlas, which was 10 times more amazing than it didn't do any business, but it didn't matter because there was some sort of alchemy that went on in it that just made there were 6 of us in it. We all played different roles, and it was 6 to the power of 6. It was just bigger in expand. It was like cosmic. And when that happens, you know, you haven't not just dodged a bullet that the movie kind of worked. You've actually done something that is mysterious. And so much of what we do is commerce, you know, like when we go off and promote a movie, you say 3 times what they're going to get from the movie, and it's usually some variation of the same thing. But when it's difficult, I think, in order to for the filmmakers, in order to put something together that actually surprises the audience, because so much of this is you're going to get something corporate almost. You will know exactly what this movie is about when you see it, and when you can actually have it in and sprinkle it. I didn't know. I wasn't anticipating that. Castaway, I think, was a movie that was like that. A number of the stuff that I've done with Bob, even working with the Clint on Sully, it ended up being sort of like High Noon. You know, it had all these other elements to it that weren't necessarily there when we were setting off to do it. But it was in the mind's eye of somebody. It's usually the filmmaker. You know, when we made Big with Penny Marshall, there were like 9 movies out that had more or less the same premise. You know, that kind of like following the body exchange, young, old, whatever it is. They were all fine movies, but there was just something about what Penny brought to Big that would seem to talk to an awful lot more people. And I guess
Not just Penny.
Well, I'm in it. You know, I work hard at it. I'm not doing it. But you know, the alliance that exists between filmmaker and actor is one. The actor can hold them hostage if they want to. You know, but the other thing is there is a yes and a no to what the guidance is. I mean, I like to think I'm kind of like this. You know, this. All right, I'm in the corral, and you're going to have to rope me and break me and saddle me and turn me into something that can ride. I like to show up on time. I like to know the text, and I like to have a million ideas in my head. That doesn't mean that all those ideas are great, and it needs somebody just to say, I like that, don't do that. Because I think shot by shot, the actor's job is to provide the motivation that the character has, and that is the same as the director wants, and that doesn't always work.
What's one thing you'll never do for a role again?
I think the body has taken enough punishment, you know, in the going up and down. I think you just got to stay down as much as possible.
Yeah, that seems hard.
Well, it's the internal superstructure. Your hips and your knees take a beating. I mean, I gained weight for, let me just say, specifically for a couple of roles. Actually, I was just fat for some of the roles, but I said that I gained weight for them. But that when it was kind of like specific, I don't think I gave myself. I think I had type 2 diabetes based on what I ate when I was 13 years old. But the knees and the organs, they don't gain 60 pounds for a gig again.
Give them a break.
Yeah.
What do you think is the gutsiest career decision you've ever made?
This is up to me to make these decisions. I will tell you, the gutsiest thing sometimes is to say no to something. It goes hand in hand. There's only two things you can say. You can either say yes or you can say no. And it's great people. It's a lot of money. You might get to go travel somewhere. They'll treat you great. They will infantilize you the way people do to actors. Look, you showed up on time. Look at your haircut. Oh, you know all your words. You are so special.
That sounds good.
It's not bad. It's not a bad gig. But there are sometimes if it just isn't, if it doesn't break your heart, if it doesn't make you think about something bigger than what it is, you sort of have to say no, and that's really hard to do sometimes. I think anybody's career really is shaped by the negative, by passing on something than instead of taking on, because taking something on is fun. As soon as you read it, you start thinking about it. As soon as it enters in your head, you're pondering how it's going to go. You're preparing yourself for a game. You study the film. You're ready to go. You're excited about meeting the other people. That's the thing. That's the thing you learn. You yearn for. You can't manufacture it.
Is there anything that you did pass on that you wish you hadn't?
I passed on. I'm like who was the guy, the actor who flipped a coin? He was the old guy. I'm like Alan Ladd passing on Casablanca. I did it a million times. Yeah, and the reason you do is because it ain't it. And somebody else does it, and it's spectacular. And I'm not the type of guy that says because I wasn't available, I'm going to kick myself in the head for not taking it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And so I've gotten jobs because other people passed. So that's just what the process is. So I hope they keep passing, so I get the chance.
When you were growing up, like 10-year-old Tom Hanks,
okay,
if he could see that highlight reel they play.
No.
If you could tell him everything that's going to happen to him in his life, what do you think?
I would say calm down. Honestly, I would. I would say it's never lose the fact that this is an instinctive way that you have fun, and also understand too that any good feeling you have, any accomplishment you have will fade away. And any negative, any moment that you're hurt, any moment that you're stung because it didn't work out the way you were hoping it, that too shall fade away. There is a sense of the work that we do. It's fulfilling to our souls somehow. Even when it's difficult, even when it doesn't work out the way you want it. Because the thing about a highlight reel is, a clip package is, the stinkers ain't in there. And the truth is, you look at careers like Henry Fonda was one of the greatest actors of his generation, and is an absolute legendary member of the firmament. I think if you look at it out of I don't know how many films he did, but 60 films, 10 of them are great, and all you need is those 10 to be a legend. And I think anybody. Betty Davis, any of the greats, you look at them and they say the stuff that they said yes to is fine and dandy, and they all have this value in the overall thing. But not all of them end up touching the humanity. They don't all capture the zeitgeist. That's a crapshoot. The times you look back and. There's moments on every film where you have an exchange with the director. The one I just recently did. Mari Heller in Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. We were having conversations, and I said I had some ideas, and I was asking her questions. She just simply said, "No, we're not going to do that," and that's a defining moment that permeates the movie from there on in. When I was working with Bob Bob Zemeckis on the 4 movies that I made with Bob. Or is it 3? Is it 3? I can't. Anyway, the 3 movies that I made with Bob, because we're always trying to figure out something else. I said to Bob, is this thing going to work? Is this going to work? And Bob said, hey, it's all a minefield, Tom. You know, nobody knows. We were sitting in Savannah on a park bench that wasn't really ever there. You know, we stationed it so that it was, you know, cinematically cool or something like that. And we had so much dialogue to do. We had just gone off and we had done months of very heavy physical shooting. And then we had 2 days in order to get all this stuff on a park bench in Savannah, Georgia. And it was so much dialogue. I said, Bob, I will never get this dialogue down. But what we can do, he said, well, what we'll do, we'll put it on cards, you know. We'll put it on cards. And the way he was shooting anyway, he had 3 cameras that were always moving around, so he wouldn't have to do individual setups. But for all the massive amount of the dialogue was, I said, I'll never be able to learn this and have it. It will come off by rote. He said, we'll put it on cards. So that'll be great, because then by the time we're ready to shoot it, I'll have it, and that will be fine. And that was when we were sitting there. I said, is anybody going to care about this dude? You know, here I am sitting in this goofy suit. And,
Forrest Gump?
That was what it was. And when he said it's a minefield, he ended up, what he said something that every director, I think, either communicates to somehow by the way they work, or they say it right off the bat. He says, you have to have faith in the process. We'll figure this out day by day. We'll figure it out shot by shot. And some version of what I remember reading that Spencer Tracy said, and this is something I read like when I was like 14 or 15, and you're reading film histories or going through film catalog. Anyway, just paying attention to movies. And he said, you got to hit the marks and tell the truth. And if you just got to try to do that. You can come close to the marks, but the truth, that's an elusive thing, and you have to be willing to go there, and it's not easy to do sometimes.
All of us, I think, have a certain hunger or even an emptiness that we are spending our lives trying to fill. And what do you think acting did for you?
If I was mechanically inclined and discovered bricklaying as being a thing that gave me more satisfaction than possible, or if I was a professional fisherman or something like that, when I saw professionals in the theater in San Francisco and Berkeley at the American Conservatory Theater and Berkeley Rep, who, when I come across those actors, I find them and I say, I saw, as a matter of fact, the lady, I wish I knew their names, cranial plate shifts. The actress who played Joanne Rogers in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is married to an actor who I saw play in Julius Caesar. He played Mark Antony in Julius Caesar. And I saw him in 1976 or 75 or 76 at the American Conservatory Theater. I said, you're married to J.O. Sanders? J.O. Sanders is your husband? I saw his Mark Antony at the American Conservatory Theater. He's one of the reasons I'm an actor, because I couldn't believe that you got paid to do that. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought, you think outside of, the big movie stars, I get it. Kirk Douglas and John Wayne and, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, those guys are movie stars. I get that. Everybody else is kind of probably working for what? Car fare? And discovering that was a trade, a craft, a type of career that you could have. And then you find yourself doing it with real professionals at a place like the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival in Cleveland. It ended up being something that I didn't. It was so much fun that you do it for nothing, but it turns out it's a craft. You can go through a journeyman phase. You can be an apprentice. Then you get to hang up your shield and be one yourself. It was the greatest the greatest luck of the draw I've ever had. That something that you love so much can be the job that you do. You know, they say the thing, you do something you love and you never work a day in your life. That's me.
Who do you wish could see you now?
You know, the family, you know. Actually, both my parents got to see me at, you know, they got a nice shot of the first go around of this. There is I was able to share it with a couple of the formative. I had a teacher, Raleigh Farnsworth, that was in high school, and he was the first person who just said, "Oh, you're different from everybody else. You're different." And I realized that there was a classroom, and there was a stage on the other end of the classroom. It was a class for drama, and I just said, What's this gag? This sounds like okay, I understand running track. I understand, taking an electronics class. I understand chemistry, auto shop. But this is a class you can have? You get graded in it, like sociology or something like that? Turn me loose. And he was the first one who said, come in here and go nuts. He got to see some of it. I'm now more concerned as like the grandkids, because when they end up, sort of movies don't disappear anymore. They're on forever, and they'll be stumbling because they'll be in their 40s. I'll be gone, and someone will say, "Are you related to that guy who had a mustache and landed a plane in this movie that I saw? Is that? I mean, the same last name as yours." Yeah, they'll say, "Yeah, that's my grandfather." I hope that they end up looking at this and, on one hand, see the absolute familiarity of their papu, their granddad. But I hope that the work is also good enough that they'll see that, geez, what was he going through in that? He was just this goofy guy in shorts and flip flops every time I was growing up seeing him, but here he is doing this pretty big thing in a big movie, big story that ends up touching them in a particular way, other than the familiarity that they have with me.
Okay, you love to collect typewriters.
I do.
We're talking about legacy.
I need to collect less of them. I have way too many of them.
I heard you were going to drop some typewriter weight.
I am. Yes, I'm going to shed some typewriter pounds. That's right.
If we were going to type your epitaph.
Oh dear. Okay.
Here lies Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
What do you wish?
First of all, there will be no "here lies" because I will be scattered somewhere. So I, look to the stars, and I want to get back to my original carbon form as soon as possible.
Fair
so
enough.
That's the plan anyway. It might change, but if there's a plaque around somewhere, something like that. Do you get to write your own epitaph, or is that written for you by some other folks?
Well, if you get in now and say what it is, then maybe they'll listen.
Oh, then
to
I
you.
would get to do it. Okay. Well, I wouldn't want the word nice to show up anywhere. I take kind. I take that. Thoughtful. I take that.
Why not nice?
Oh, it's just too much of a.
Everybody says it.
But you know what? You know what nice is? Nice is the meal you had at not a bad restaurant, but not a great restaurant. How was the fish at that place? It was nice. It was quite good. No, I want something better than that, don't you? It was fantastic. So maybe that's the epitaph. He was fantastic.
In all caps.
Actually, in italicized. In a right kind of thing. I'd like to. Tom Hanks. He was the Hermes 3000 of human beings. That's a good typewriter, the Hermes 3000.
Everyone's Googling it right now.
I know they are, and I think you look at Hermes 3000s. It might all be scooped up if anybody looks. It's a damn good typewriter.
You are nice, but better than nice.
I think I was well raised, despite some kookiness that went on when I was growing up. But I will say that I have met with kindness over and over and over again. Not just in my job. There are people that sort of like tapped me on the shoulder, and said, "You need to come with us because you need to belong to something bigger than just by yourself." And they took care of me and they helped me. Everybody has these kind of stories, but when I first moved to New York City and I had $800, I slept on friends' couch, the couch of some friends, two of them who didn't know me from Adam because they were all roommates and I was a guy sleeping on their couch. I had this is when I first moved to New York. I didn't realize it, but I had impacted wisdom teeth that were bleeding, and I stained their couch with my blood that came out. And
that's on YouTube now.
Might be. I think
not YouTube, eBay.
Be, well, unless it was just put out on the corner, and New York City was taken away. And the gentleman that I stayed with, Michael John McGann, he co-signed the lease of the first apartment I ever had. Who does that? That's a degree of faith and kindness in somebody, in which it's completely selfish. And I have come across more people like that in my life than I've come across the people who took advantage of me, took advantage of my good nature. So if I'm a nice guy, it's because other people have made me realize that that's the type of human being I think I wanted to be. So I'm nice by option because so many people have demonstrated that same sort of kindness to me.
Are you ready for some bosom buddies clips?
You gonna put some on? Bring it on. Hey,
I'm
proud of bosom buddies. Are you kidding?
Me too. I love it,
dude. Hey, dude. This was, I was from Northern California. And I vowed, even by the time you get to be an actor, I said, I am not going to Los Angeles. I knew too many people who went to Los Angeles and vanished, in a mist, and they sort of never became actors again. So I didn't go to L.A. until they brought me out to L.A. And I ended up on this show that was such a blast every single day, and we were totally low man on the totem pole. This is how long my storied career is, Savannah. They had just torn down the Western Street at Paramount Studios. And Peter Scolari and I was parking space 118. He was parking space 119. And when we finally were able to park on the lot, the blacktop was still hot. They hadn't even put the lines down yet. And everybody said, "Oh, you should have been here when the Western Street was up." Boy, that Western Street was shown in every great Western TV show that was on when we were little kids. And so that was just, we were in the middle of like wacky history. He and I would run around the first season we were at Paramount at lunch, because we always had like an hour lunch. We would go run around the movie sets on the other side of the lot because we were on the old Desilu side. And you go over there. We stood on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise for the Wrath of Khan. We beamed ourselves up and down. We sat in the fake Supreme Court for first Monday in October. We were all, hey, what are you kids doing back there? Sorry. Oh, where's Bosom Buddies? Oh, that's all around the other side of the lot. We got to get to stage 25. So it was a blast. Can't show enough of those clips.
I agree. I was thinking about you and Rita. I was lucky enough to see you and Rita interact, and it's just as we would all hope it would be.
Okay, all right.
And it's lovely. I mean, I'm not in your kitchen, but your affection seems so real. And
we dig each other, I must say. 30 will be 32 years in April. Everybody knows we've been married, so what are you going to do? Pretend you're not?
No, that is not a good answer. It's not romantic.
Well, you didn't even ask me a question.
Well, I know. I was in the middle. I was about to.
Okay, go ahead.
I said, why is she your one?
Oh.
What does she get about you?
Oh, dear Lord. I will tell you, there was a moment long ago, and I thought it can actually be like this. She was the example of how to do it. We had a fascinating getting to know you phase, and with when the time I had never seen anything like that. But, I had my childhood and what have you, and was not necessarily one of that kind of all-encompassing acceptance. There was like, okay, here's the dinner table, and we're all lucky to be here. I don't know if I had experienced that, 24 hours a day prior to it.
That sense of family or security.
It was kind of like, this is the day, so let's rejoice in this day. There was no what happened the day before didn't matter, and what was coming up the next day didn't matter. It's part of it is because this Greek heritage she has. That when I was first sitting around her dinner table, I remember thinking like, oh, it can be like this. Oh, I'd seen that in other families. I don't want to communicate somehow I lived this life that was derelict as far as that kind of stuff. And I was married prior to that, and we had plenty of wonderful moments. But there was when we met, we were both a little bit older. We had, I think, I don't want to speak for her, but you sort of like, if you're smart at some point, you recognize the plan for the future when it comes up, when it shows itself to you, as opposed to just like kind of like stumbling through everything like that. And when I met her, I just said, oh, this could be a plan for the future here, and a smart person like makes that their agenda. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's why she's the one.
Yeah, she looked
and
like
has been.
Yeah,
of course that she might wake up one day and not want to have anything to do with a knucklehead that's in bed next to her. So
I don't think so.
No, I hope so. I hope not.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Nice talking to you.